Government officials insist that this...
That BNC Live has been following from the beginning. A father continues his mission to find out what happened to his son.
Daniel Robinson vanished in the Buckeye Desert.
Daniel Robinson went missing in the Buckeye Desert.
Urgent plea from a father who has scoured the vast Arizona desert himself.
4-year-old Daniel Robinson. And this is a very, very odd mystery.
Daniel Robinson disappeared on June 23rd in the far West Valley.
His parents, David and Melissa, need our help.
I'm David Robinson, the father of geologist Daniel Robinson.
His name, Daniel Robinson. And leading the search, not law enforcement, but Daniel's father, David.
God knows how much we can bear, you know? And at times I feel like I can't really take but so much more.
Where is Daniel Robinson?
And identify they were human leg bones.
But you know what? It's still urgent to me as a father because, we found human remains out here.
David Robinson had only one thought on his mind as he drove the nearly 1,800 miles from his South Carolina home to Phoenix.
I had to find my son. I also want to thank the volunteers that come out here every weekend, volunteering their time. And, without these special people behind me, I wouldn't have a search.
How does a young man vanish off the face of the earth? How does that happen? No record, no sightings, nothing. He's just gone. And when I say a young man, I'm talking about 25-year-old Daniel Robinson. He is the apple of his parents' eye. A young geologist, music lover, good-looking, great grades, the works. So why can't we find Daniel? I'm Nancy Grace. This is Crime Stories. And his dad, David Robinson, is using the GoFundMe money to fund his own investigation and the desperate search for his boy, his son, Daniel Robinson, 25 years old. What happened to him? How did he just disappear? David Robinson, sir, thank you so much for being with us. Tell me when you first realized your son just hadn't called in a couple of days, that he was truly missing.
Yes, my son, on the 23rd, I did get a call from my daughter. She also lives out in Phoenix. And at times I feel like I can't really take but so much more.
But in his weakest times, David says it's the volunteers that provide him strength.
Everybody know that I call them my extended family. And so this visual is the same thing. We all here have one common goal, and that's to find Daniel and also to bring light. We'll help the other families.
As the Robinsons' extended family light candles tonight, their collective light shines towards that day when their question is answered and Daniel comes home. Josh Sanders, 12 News.
You are my shelter from the storm. You keep me safe inside your wings. You are my comfort when life gets hard. You lead me to water to drink. Your gentle hand, even when I can't understand, I know your voice. I'm not afraid, walking with me at the
When the lights and camera turn off, I will be here. When the interest and conversation fade, I will be here. When there's no one around, a father will do anything it takes to be there for his son, to protect his family.
Daniel Robinson went missing 4 months ago. This is the last photo his family has of him. He's a 24-year-old geologist, last seen leaving his job site in Buckeye, Arizona.
As the Gabby Petito homicide case garners national attention, another young person has been missing for nearly 3 months, and his family is desperate to find him. 24-year-old Daniel Robinson, a geologist, was last seen on the morning of June 23rd, leaving his work site in the desert of Buckeye, Arizona.
David Robinson had only one thought on his mind as he drove the nearly 1,800 miles from his South Carolina home to Phoenix.
I had to find my son. And I'm still out here in Arizona searching for him. Thank you guys for coming in this evening's Q&A. My name is David Robinson. I'm the father of geologist Daniel Cornelius Robinson. As you know, my son Daniel Robinson is a geologist that graduated from the College of Charleston in Charleston, South Carolina. My son came out to Arizona, Phoenix, Arizona, to expand his horizon, his career. He started a job with a company called Matrix Southwest Groundwater, also called Matrix New World. They hired him on as a field geologist, also called a hydrogeologist. My son's job entails that he goes out into various well sites, and that job is to check the viability of those wells to make sure they are producing at least 100 years of water. And then also, like I said, check the water itself, the things that the rock sediments and things that's on the bottom of those wells, to make sure those waters are drinkable. My son's job is very, very important to Arizona. This is a desert state. Each community that's been built have to have those wells, sometimes even two wells, well sites where those water have to, like I said, produce that 100 years of water. If those wells do not produce that, that project cannot be built. The community cannot be built. So his job is very important. On June 23rd, my son went missing. You guys, if you don't know, my son went to two well sites. He was reportedly going to two well sites. The first well site he made around 7 o'clock that morning off of Verrado Way, off I-10 here in Arizona, in Buckeye, Arizona. He went out there to check the viability of that well, get some. So he took a picture of some logs, roughly around 7:15 that morning. From that point, my son did receive a phone call that he missed. He made a phone call back. Then he missed again, but when he received a phone call he had missed, a guy from a company called Weber, name is Ken. He had left my son a voicemail asking him not to come up to that well site yet because a fuel truck didn't show up. So my son, at that point, I don't know what happened in between that time, but I do know the story that was given to me, my family, as well as the Buckeye Police Department, who in turn gave us that story until I came here to Arizona and got the story directly from the guy at the well site. Told us that my son had made it up there to Sun Valley Parkway and Cactus Road, right here in Buckeye, Arizona, where he met Ken at the roadway. They made it to that well site around 9 o'clock, according to Ken. And my son was gone around 9:15, where he waved off, drove off to never be seen again. You guys want to know the details of that as well. There was a conversation about the well that my son asked, if he tired, you want to go home, to go back to Phoenix to rest. Some reason he think that question was weird and odd and strange, to the point that he even expressed that he tried to look into my son's eyes to see if they are dilated. My son is a black male with dark eyes. That's nearly impossible in daylight. Definitely my son would not be standing there and let him put a flashlight in his eye to see if his eyes dilated. One thing for sure, this guy said my son just waved off to him and left around 9:15. As you guys know, I have been through this case. I've been working my own investigation as well as working with the Buckeye Police Department at the time. I also hired my own private investigator. You guys already know that's one of the things that's there. But in my investigation, I also found that my son had made a phone call around 9:10 at 9:28 to this Ken, who said my son was already gone at 9:15 from that well site. The second part is that he did not answer or probably answer, but from our standpoint, I don't know if he answered or not, but my son did make that call at 9:28, but he did not mention that. The other part is he told the second officer that he arrived at the well site at 9:30, which my son made a call like at 9:28. That don't make sense at all. So to make a long story short, that timeline, you guys, is not correct. We still getting to the bottom of the timeline. That's what I'm doing on my end. I don't know what the Buckeye Police Department are doing on their end, but I can tell you on my end, my investigation just into that part alone is also going on. Get some details of that. As you know, you guys, I put in the missing person report on my son on June 23rd. That only happened because my daughter called me. She was living here in Phoenix. She called me and told me that one of the coworkers from Matrix New World, not the one from the well site, but Matrix New World, came to her residence. Once he came there, she was really puzzled about how he knew it lives, where she lived at first. But he did inquire if Daniel was there. He did tell her that Daniel was last seen at the well site, and he was trying to figure out. He was going there since 9:15 that morning, and she was looking to see if he was there. Did he stop by her place? Of course, that was really very puzzling to her. She called myself. I don't know. I'm not sure if she called her mother, but she did call me and let me know what was going on. We did the due diligence. I had her to go to Daniel's apartment to see if he's there. When she got there, of course, his vehicle wasn't there. He wasn't answering the door. Of course, at my point of view, I was in South Carolina, over 2,000 miles away. So I'm trying to call his phone, try to see if I can contact his mother, contact some others to see if anybody had heard from him. Of course, he had to do those due diligence first. Then I realized the time difference. There's a big difference. It's 3-hour time difference from here in South Carolina. Here in South Carolina, the 3-hour difference. At that point, I knew it was over 6 hours. That 6 hours is too much for Daniel. 4 hours is too much for Daniel. So one of the biggest things when I heard that it was over 6 hours, it was like 9 o'clock when he was last seen at that well site. That's when I knew something was wrong. The first thing I did is try to do my due diligence again. I want to make sure nothing happened to my son. I'm too far away to check for myself. I didn't want my daughter to go back over there to his apartment again. So I did call the Tempe Police Department. My son is a resident of Tempe. Called the Tempe Police Department and inquired and asked them, can they please do a welfare check, make sure no foul play has happened, somebody stole his vehicle. Of course, they told me they couldn't do so because once I mentioned to them that he was, we don't know where he's at. He was last seen in off the White Tank Mountains. That's the information I had at the time from Daniel's job. He was somewhere near this White Tank Mountains. I didn't know what that was at the time. But once I mentioned that to Tempe, they said, oh, that's Buckeye. So they shot me over to Buckeye, told me I had to put in that welfare check to Buckeye. So what I ended up doing that as well, called the Buckeye Police Department, see if they can get a welfare check, which they end up calling Tempe to have Tempe go over to his apartment to do that welfare check. But they did not go inside. They didn't go inside his apartment and thing. They just kind of went around his apartment, and that was it, the end of story. But I was able to try it from that point. I like I said, look at that time. I know my son, he definitely would have told somebody, because I was still doing my due diligence. If he talked to anybody that was close to him, friends wise, nobody heard from Daniel. From that point, like I said, I asked the Buckeye Police Department that I need to put in a missing person report. They told me I'll call in too early. That was a 12-hour wait before you can do that. I don't know if that's policy. I doubt if it is. Most police department hindsight now, I know most police departments do not have policies to tell you to wait that long or wait at all. But that is something that police also tell people all the time. But that's what I was told. I had to wait for a few hours and then call back and put in that missing person report. Of course, once I got information from Officer Cruz at the time, very helpful. He said he was going to ride up and down Sun Valley Parkway near the White Tank Mountains area, and he would ride up and down the road and see if Daniel's vehicle, he's stuck on the side of the road. I was very relieved at that until Daniel's job told me that he was actually inside the desert, off the road into the desert. When I found that out, I asked Officer Cruz, can they please send a helicopter out there to search for my son? They could not do it that night. They told me they'll do it the next morning. I waited. Of course, I didn't go to bed. Waited till the next morning. Waited till these guys called me, and they told me they was going to have a flight out. Then they ended up calling back later and telling me that the flight was canceled, and because it was unauthorized, his boss, his higher ups told him it was unauthorized because Daniel's a grown man. If he want to disappear on his own, he can. That assumption right there really pushed me over the edge, and that's what caused me to grab everything I can, because I knew immediately these guys were not going to look for my son. I had to do it myself. I grabbed everything I can, threw it in my vehicle, and started heading west. And over the 2,000 miles, I made it here on June 26th, and I've been searching for Daniel since. I started my own searches. You guys already know that. Like I said, my own investigation, did over 40 weeks of desert searches out there with volunteers, as well as covered over 35,000 acres of land. And all of that is based on every information we was getting at the time. First, it was the well site. I had my searches based on the well site where Daniel was last seen. It was a rescue mission. I was out there to rescue my son, to find out where he was located, and try to rescue him. I found out, of course, I was doing my homework at the time before I started my searches. I knew about mines. I knew about wells. I knew about all these dangerous things that goes on in the desert, the washes, you name it. And I want to be able to rescue my son. I thought he may be stuck in a hole somewhere, or whatever the case may be. We did the searches based on that well site, and then almost 30 days later, my son's vehicle showed up right here, just like that, behind me in that ravine. That's his vehicle there, smashed up. It showed up in that ravine. I was told that by the Buckeye Police Department on the 20th. The vehicle was found on July the 19th by a rancher who was out there chasing his cattle, corralling his cattle. He'd been there 2 to 3 days prior. He said the vehicle wasn't there, but when he got there on July the 19th, lo and behold, it was there. There's a couple of information, you guys, I can tell you the whole details about my son's case, but I have this Q&A here, and that's what the Q&A is for. A lot of people have been taking interest into Daniel's case. As you know, you guys, when I first got here to Arizona, I had to work 3 months. I had to work very hard. I got a little local by Josh Sanders, one of the champions, and also Nicole Griggs. She's also a champion here, news reporters here locally, was giving me some breaks. Also, Mr. Galloway, a news radio personality here, gave me some breaks, to give me little small breaks to be able to start getting Daniel's name out. I was pushing really hard. Like I said, it took 3 months just to get Daniel's name to a point where it ended up getting picked up because of the tragedy of another family. It was picked up by a tweet, retweet, and it was also picked up by the tragedy of the Gabby Petito family, as you guys know, as well. So it took that long, but you know what? I've been pushing really hard to get Daniel's story out there, and I'm still continuing to do so. That's what this Q&A is for. You guys, after a while, of course, stories get old. They don't carry on networks too long. Once stories start, I guess, dying out to them. But it's very important to keep Daniel's story and his name out there, because there's one thing that I'm looking for from day one is that person or persons who may know something, can hear something and say something. So I want to make sure that I'm able to keep the platform there for my son, and also in my efforts to be able to help other families. But I want to go ahead and jump onto a few things here. On the bottom of the screen, you see strolling there, a day of remembrance. You guys, very important event. We've been pushing this. We did it before. Of course, we had to reschedule because of the Roe v. Wade decision that really messed up that weekend. There was a lot of major protests, so we had to reschedule, and we did it for this weekend here. And here it is. This weekend is here. It came kind of quick. September the 10th at 6:30, you guys, at the state capitol here in Phoenix, Arizona, state capitol lawn, the Senate lawn. You guys can please come out at 6:30 p.m. this Saturday at the state capitol to support the families who's coming out to share their loved one's story. I will be sharing Daniel's stories. I'll be getting those flyers out as well. These families hopefully come and be able to share their loved one's stories and get their flyers out. If you're a family who has a missing person and really, really want to take advantage of the resources that we have as well as this platform, you can hit us up at pleasehelpfinddaniel@yahoo.com and reserve your spot. We still have time. We still want you there. We want you to be able to, like I said, get in touch with these resources that we have, as well as we want to be able to help. That's my passion as well. I would not be human to hear all the stories I hear from other families, knowing that what me and my family are going through, and don't try my best to try to help other people along the way. So this event is very important. My team have worked very hard to put it together. This is our second event. We're learning as we go, trying to get better as we go. And we know, unfortunately, we want to get better because we want to help other families. That's why I have the Daniel Robinson Foundation. The foundation also is there to be able to help families. And that foundation will be launched pretty soon, you guys. I want you guys to look out for that and support in the way you can. But please come out this weekend if you can. Like I said, it's September the 10th at 6:30 p.m. right here at the state capitol, right here in Phoenix. You guys can be a part. Please, all you have to do is go to pleasehelpfinddaniel.com and hit the events tab. It will take you to Eventbrite. You can RSVP, or you can go straight directly to Eventbrite. You see it on the bottom of the screen here, eventbrite.com, and put in a date of remembrance, and you can RSVP that way as well. If you're a family member again, and you want to be a part of a day of remembrance to share your highlight and share your family story, definitely hit us up at pleasehelpfinddaniel@yahoo.com, and we'll give you the information you need to be able to, be a part. Also, please like and share and subscribe to this channel, especially if you're new. You guys have got this channel up to over 1,000 subscribers. To me, that's to put Daniel's story out farther. So I'm really grateful. There's a lot of other incentives that come with that. But you guys that really helped me out to get Daniel's story out there. So please don't forget to hit that button. Or if you want to hit the reminder, hit the bell as well. But definitely like, share, and subscribe to get those algorithms going and keep this story alive. I'm really pushing hard. I really need your help, and I continue to need your help. You guys have been champions from day one. You've been donating to the GoFundMe. You kept the searches going with the longest I could have it going. You guys have been, all those thousands of flyers I put all over this country, all the thousands of flyers that's getting out there, you guys have been helping with that, like I said, with your donations, as well as passing out the flyers. When I send those flyers out to you, you guys want flyers, you get them sent to you. Just please help find Daniel at yahoo.com and request those flyers, or you go print them out from the PDF on pleasehelpfinddaniel.com. There's a PDF there. You can print them out yourself. So everywhere efforts you guys have been doing, I really appreciate your prayers, signing the petition, you name it. You guys have been on this channel supporting as well. So I'm going to jump right onto it, and we'll go to this Q&A right now, portion of this portion right now. And you guys can please, and I'm going to tell you up front, if you have the first time on the channel, if you guys have any questions, please, by all means, I'll put the word question there before your question, a capital letter Q or some question mark or something like that, because a lot of people, when I come down to the comment section, I want to be able to get all the questions I can in my 2 hours, and I want to be able to reach yours as well. So definitely, if you have the questions, please put the word question there first before your question, question mark or capital letter Q. That would definitely help me find it as I'm coming down. But I want to say, first, I want to say, OG Jitterbug, thanks so much for being here this evening on this Q&A. I really appreciate it. Thanks for your prayers. I really need them. You already know I really need those prayers. I'm a believer in prayer. Tub 883, thank you so much for being here as well. Thank you so much. Hello to you. Thank you for the strength and love. Thank you from all the way from England. Thank you. I want to put you back up for a second. All the way from England. So thank you so much for reaching out. I really appreciate it. God bless you. Also, Dog Defender. Yes, you're happy. You got here early this morning. I really appreciate. This evening. I really appreciate you being here. Also, thank you, Aaron Chase, for being here as well. I have American True Crime being here. I really appreciate that. Tracy, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate that. Appreciate you coming out to join this Q&A, as well as Ever So Pretty LLC, Elizabeth Gonzalez. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And thank you for following this case. There are some new things that's happening. You guys, I said it this morning. I still didn't get any feedback on some of the things I want to share, but I can give you lightly that some things have happened positively. And it's on the law enforcement end. So really been pushing really hard. It's too sad it took a whole entire year. But, I've been pushing very hard. The team has been helping me as well. You guys have been helping by signing a petition and, putting your voice to everything I'm doing. If you supported me, as well as making those phone calls, those letters, everything you do, you guys know what you have been doing in the background. I'm really grateful for everybody who's been helping me along this journey to get justice and get some answers to what happened to my son. I do have answers. I have some clues, as well as, like I said, a little things I've been pushing in the background. I'm doing a lot of meetings and calls and just name it. A lot of things been going on in the background, as well as my efforts to do what I'm doing now when it comes to the flyers and things like that. So thank you, Christina. I really appreciate you for being here as well. Street Carp, thanks so much for being here. Thanks for your prayers. Thank you, Skilo, for being here. God bless you for coming out. I do have a question, just like Aaron Chase put here. You guys, if you have a question, you can use a question mark or the word question or the capital letter Q. That really helped me find your questions as I'm coming down. Has there been any progress in moving Daniel's case forward? Yes, there has been some progress. Like I said, I'm really have been securing some meetings with law enforcement as well. Have been like I said, because you guys been signing that petition, I have some backing as well as your calls and support that way. So I have a very capable team that's been helping as well. So all those efforts together has caused some things to move forward, and I really appreciate you guys. And I'm pushing hard as I can and keep things going. Thank you, Sophia, for being here, also being part of the board and team. Thank you for moderating and keeping this chats going. I really appreciate you. Thanks so much. Again, you guys, I'm Dave Robinson, father of geologist Daniel Robinson. For those who come out here for the first time, I definitely happy to have you here and being a part of this Q&A. Have any questions, by all means, use the capital letter Q, the word question, some question marks, something I can find your question. I would like to answer some of your questions. Those who have been out here before, some of the things you will hear again over and over again, but that's what this channel is for to be able to put Daniel's story out there and tell his story, to get the information I can out there and answer some of the questions that I can answer. So also thank you, Sophia, for putting that petition up. We got 119,850 voices. Call them voices. Is your voice. You guys, you put your voice to that petition. Definitely is helpful. Your voice is speaking because you guys have been backing me up. Backing what you believe in, what I believe in. You believe in what I believe in, and you have been backing me and putting your voice in that petition. If you have multiple email addresses, you can put your voice to the petition multiple times. I look at it as you increasing your volume of your voice. I really appreciate that. If you guys can continue on putting your voice to that petition, you can find that petition on pleasehelpfinddaniel.com under the petition tab. That will take you to change.org, and you definitely can put that petition. But I can't tell you again, I said this morning, it's been brought to my awareness that change.org also accept donations, but that donations is not for Please Help Find Daniel. It's not coming towards me, not doing anything in this effort to find Daniel, but that is separate from this effort to find Daniel. That is just for change.org. So you guys can make that choice for yourself if you're donating to change.org or not. But definitely I need you guys to fill out that, a petition. Go ahead and put your voice to that petition. That definitely will help. That will help me. So thank you so much for that. Also, Sophia put out here, you guys can print the PDF again. Like I said, the PDF tab is there on pleasehelpfinddaniel.com. Pleasehelpfinddaniel.com. That is a PDF there. If you guys want to help me out by printing those flyers out yourself and pass them into your community to reach that person that may know something. Okay, also, you can donate. Thanks, Sophia, putting that up as well. Pleasehelpfinddaniel.com under the donate tab. You can see that and go take it to the GoFundMe. You guys, if you can help me reach that goal, that's really grateful. I'm really happy about that. You guys have got me up to this point now where you see that donation amount went to from day one. Those monies have been utilized in that desert searches as well as all the efforts I'm doing here and to remain here in Arizona. So all the combination of that is very important, everything I'm doing here. If you guys believe in everything I'm doing here, I definitely still continue to need your help to remain here in Arizona. So thanks so much. I really appreciate that. Also, thank you, Double G, for your question. There was a guy who told you he saw a Jeep like your son's on the side of the road a few days before the Jeep, 2 days actually, the Jeep turned up. Where exactly did they see the Jeep, and what was what time? One of the things is the way that happened is I wasn't aware of the Jeep at the Jeep at the time. I did get some phone calls from family members who've been monitoring the Buckeye Police Department's Facebook page. I wasn't on social media as much. That's why you guys probably can tell now. Sometimes it's hard for me to answer these questions on the inboxes and things like that, because I'm constantly doing interviews, constantly trying to keep things going here I'm constantly working. Sometimes I'll go to bed because I have to be up 3 or 4 in the morning doing things. So I don't have the opportunity to sit back and sometimes look at social media. So my family did, and they brought it to my attention and said, hey, look, this guy been on the Buckeye Police Department's Facebook page. He put a picture up of a vehicle that looked just like Daniel's, but was very blurry. And he said, hey, his wife took the pictures on the side of the road, looked like Daniel's vehicle from what he saw in the picture. And he tried to get Buckeye's Police Department's attention. Of course, I reached out to him. His name is Tony. I reached out to him, and he shared the information with me, shared the picture with me, and told me exactly where they gave me the coordinates and streets and things like that, where I could find a vehicle. I was very, very excited that, hey, we get some clues, finding Daniel's vehicle, because it looked just like it to me once I looked at it. And I haven't seen Daniel's vehicle in person, but I looked at it based on the picture that Daniel gave me. And so I immediately called the Buckeye Police Department, told him, hey, look, there's a guy, and before I can finish my sentence, he said, that's not your son's vehicle. I was like, well, how you know that? Have you been out there? No. So can you please send out a cruiser to see if this is my son's vehicle? After some persistence, he said yes, he would do so. In the meantime, told the guy I was going to come up there and look at this vehicle as well to see if it had the tag number or whatever the case may be. I went to go grab my daughter from her apartment. And as soon as I grabbed my daughter, get ready to start heading up that way, which is a 40-minute drive, the young man called me back and said, hey, Mr. Robinson, I just went out there to check to see if the vehicle's still there. It is gone. I called Buckeye Police Department again, said, hey, y'all had the vehicle towed out? Blah, blah. And he said, no. They did. I said, we need to find out who towed it out. Can you let me know? They never, to this day, told me who towed that vehicle out of there. But the young man who went out there, he told me, I told him, hey, look, Buckeye said he's going to send a cruiser out there. He said, yeah, he's seen the Buckeye Police Department's cruiser, but the vehicle's gone. Of course, I still made it up that way and still did my investigation, trying to get any kind of information I can from that scene where this vehicle was at. But like you said, 2 days later or so, I think it was 2 or 3 days later, which I think was 2 days later to be exact, the vehicle showed out in the desert. That's the way I see it. Because there's an ironically there that the vehicle was towed. Nobody can tell me where or who picked it up. But then all of a sudden, hey, Mr. Robinson, your son's vehicle was found on July the 19th, which they ended up telling me on July the 20th. The weird part about that story is on July the 19th, the rancher who found the vehicle testified and said that the Buckeye Police Department told him specifically when they got there on the scene, say, do not alert the family, do not alert media. You know, that's two things they told him not to do. Now, they know I was on the ground for over all that entire time with hundreds of volunteers from a lot of them from Buckeye, searching for Daniel, rescue mission. They know how desperate I was out there from sun up to sundown almost, out there in that 118-degree weather at times, searching for Daniel. And they did not tell me. They didn't want to tell me the day of. They told me over 24 hours later, like an hour over 24 hours later, and alerted me that Daniel's vehicle was found. And the reasoning they told me, because I was upset about it, why you didn't tell me, because we didn't want to disturb your sleep. Exactly what they told me at the time. So you guys, that vehicle, like you was talking about, yes, of course, WG, it happened right then. It happened right there. Just exactly how I can tell you guys. And I really have suspicions to believe that vehicle, because of course you guys know in my investigation, meaning that my private investigator that I hired, his investigator asked a reconstructionist. He said this is a staged event. You know, it's his opinion, because he looked at the damage that don't match the terrain, the red transfer paint came from somewhere. That vehicle came in contact with something red. There's nothing red in the desert, as well as the impressions on the windshield. There's 11 additional miles on the vehicle, as well as 46 initial cycles after the initial crash. The first crash, it crashed multiple times. Of course, when it came down the ravine after those crashes, 4 hours after my son went missing, it crashed down the ravine because it actually rolled down there, or they some kind of way they got it down in that ravine. So that's one of the biggest things. And clothes is on the ground. So I still to this day don't even know that's my son's clothing or not. There was no DNA testing to say indeed those are my son's clothing. So that type of deal. So that's a couple of things that I can throw out there for you guys. WG, thank you, Ms. Virgo, for being here. This is Virgo season, but thank you so much for being here. And oh yes, thank you so much. Thank you, I really appreciate it. God bless you for that advice as well. Also, so fresh smells. Thank you again. Sophia for putting out the information. A day of remembrance, September the 10th, 2022 at 6:30. You guys, thank you again for coming out, and thank you guys. I know some people will show up, and I want to thank you in advance for coming out to this weekend at 6:30 p.m. to support the family. So thank you so much. God bless you for that. How you doing, Sarah Miller? Thank you so much for being here on this Q&A as well. And don't forget, you guys, to like, share, and subscribe to this channel. That would definitely help. Also, I want to say, RT, thanks so much again. I really appreciate that. And I really appreciate that. You right, and that's right. You do have to write the report a person. You don't have to let anyone tell you, right. And I agree with that. A lot of times, you guys, if you have a missing person or you suspect, you're a missing person, your family member, you feel that they're missing, you don't have to wait over 24 hours or wait these whatever time they come up 12 hours like they did me. You don't have to wait. A lot of times you just ask them, "Hey, I need to see that policy that says that. I need you to fax me that. I need you to text me this policy," and they won't be able to text it because it don't exist. I think sometimes my opinion is like times officers don't want to feel like doing the work, so they're easy to push off. Say, "Oh, they probably just gonna come back." That's their opinion. Just like they had made the assumption about Daniel. He's a grown man. He could disappear if he wants to. I mean, how did they come with that opinion? Did Daniel tell him that? No. So you come with an assumption also based on your own feelings of how you would probably not treat your own child. Or you just treat somebody else's child that way. Because if it's their own child, they wouldn't say, "Well, my son is missing, officer. My son is missing. I'm going to wait 24 to 48 hours later, and then I go look for him. He going to come back home. He might come back." No, it wouldn't happen that way. So, a lot of times I ask them to treat my son's case just like they would do their own. All right. Also, thank you, John Q, for being here this morning. Good to hear from you. And thank you so much for everything you have done in the background to help towards the efforts to find Daniel. Give me some of those first platforms for the YouTube channel networks. I really appreciate that. Working in the background to help. Good evening to you. Thanks for being here to listen. Any new developments? Yes, I'm still working on those information I want to be able to put out. You put some things about the vertical matter. You guys do remember, you do have those questions. Please put that question mark there, the word question. I do see your question in there, Mr. Q. Any new developments on that vertical mine? No, I still not been able to. I think, to be honest with you, probably won't be able to get out there anymore with that company to check that vertical mine, only because there are some new restrictions out there in the area as well. Plus, two, I needed to get some permission from BLM, who ended up shutting down once I gave them the coordinates to this vehicle that shows it on federal land. They shut down on me, told me I had to talk to an attorney and everything else and alike. So that's kind of been some hold up on that efforts right there to check those vertical mines. So it was a very huge tire, like you put here. Yes, a very huge tire that was covering that. We was able to slide it off some to look down there and realize it wasn't a mine. I mean, it wasn't a well that we thought it was at the beginning, but definitely it is a vertical mine, just like you described there. I do have a question again from WG. Excuse me. A question: how much gas was in the Jeep when it was found? I do not know the answer to that one. I wasn't given any information about the gas level in the vehicle. I can tell you the morning of Daniel's disappearance, there was a gas purchase of about $10 or so. I thought it was like $3 or $2, but actually it was $10 or so that he purchased. They say it's a gas purchase, but who knows what it was. Still waiting on their first Buckeye City had video of that. Then now they're trying to say they have, I don't know what they're saying now, but I asked them for a copy of that. And they go, "Oh, I'm gonna let you know if we can," or whatever somebody allowed them to do so, that type deal. Answers about my son. Can get that video first, and they say, "Oh, they got still photos or something out of it," or they don't have it at all. So things kind of changing as I've been asking for some of those information. But that's the only thing I know when it comes to gas is the purchase that was done on the 23rd. Well, it's supposedly have been done on the 23rd, but we don't know if it was the day before or just posted on the 23rd. But according to the bank statement, it appears to be on the 23rd. Also, thank you, Shauna. Thank you for your question. From this AM, did they check the dirt rocks in the Jeep skid plates to see if it's consistent with the dirt in the area of the Jeep was found? I don't know. And I think that's going to be part of the forensics that are going to be done in that vehicle that I'm pushing so hard for. But yeah, that should be part of the forensics, and nobody have done any forensic work to that magnitude on that vehicle. Of course, not even my investigator. So definitely something that would definitely have to be taken to once I get that rolling, those forensics. And that's a good angle to look at it. Also, thank you, Barry, for being here as well. The president of the Daniel Robinson, vice president of the Daniel Robinson Foundation, and I almost gave you a raise there. That's the sense. But vice president of the Daniel Robinson Foundation, I really appreciate that, Barry, for being out here and supporting and everything you can, your efforts to help me find my son, your passion towards helping other family members. And you guys, she's one of also the board members of Daniel Robinson Foundation. I really appreciate you being out there to help as well. Okay, and also thank you, Barry, for putting this information out as well. Facebook.com. You guys go to Please Help Find Daniel. Facebook at Please Help Find Daniel. You can also follow us there on that Facebook. On Facebook, you guys, Please Help Find Daniel. Also, thank you, Shauna, for putting us up from this morning. These are some of the questions you guys from this morning who left this question I couldn't answer. Does Arizona have a state level organization that investigates police? Probably so. Only thing I have my worry is with and that's this I have been finding, and it's sad. And I'm going to say it this way how I feel. I'm not saying that's accurate. I'm not saying making excuses, but I weary and I get kind of weary when it comes to feeling like somebody actually with the police here in the state. And I had to say that because I noticed that since I've been here, people you think you can trust in a sense, everybody know everybody. For instance, like the agent who did the case briefing. One of the officers, I'm not going to name, is been applying to try to become an FBI agent. So I know for a fact that department and that agent have some correlations together when it comes to certain things. So everybody know each other. It seems like somebody always know each other, and they have some kind of it's almost like a for lack of words I don't want to use the word I really want to use, but everybody know each other, and it seemed that way every time I try to reach out to certain departments or reach out to certain things. Seems like everybody some kind of way has some type of connecting element there that make me kind of cringe a little bit. Like, okay, will my son really get justice that he deserved if I go that direction? So I'll be very careful of who I choose to reach out to. But yes, there should be someone that police to police, like I told you guys this morning. If there are good cops out there, and I believe they are, I really do. I am pro police. I believe there are good cops out there. However, at the same time, in the same breath, that's a very thin line when I say that, is because if there are good cops will police bad cops, right? There would not be any bad apples, they call it in the department, and wait till something bad happens and they say, oh, yeah, we just have some bad apples. You know you have bad apples from day one. You already know it before they blow up and do some stuff. You should get rid of them, weave them out ahead of time. So if you don't do that, and if another agency see another agency screwing up and don't do anything about it, they're bad cops too. They're complicit, just like a person getting pulled over with a friend that they didn't know had drugs in their backpack, and all of them in prison. And the guy said, I didn't know it's not mine, that type deal. Yeah, you didn't know it's yours. And so you're complicit. You didn't do anything about it. You didn't stop it. You got in the car, allowed them to get in your car. Same thing. Same thing with police departments. If you see it, you don't do nothing about it. You're just as bad as the ones that you're not doing anything about. All right. And Jay Silverhead Hills, thanks so much for being here. Does David still believe the first information about the black box recording and red paint in the first days, even though that information appears to be outdated and wrong? I don't know what black box Daddy say has been wrong or anything, or the red paint, the outdated or wrong. Well, the red transfer paint is definitely on the vehicle. It hasn't been forensically tested. It's still there. I have possession of the vehicle. If you ask a question about the vehicle itself, that vehicle was turned over to me a day after it was found. I did request the Buckeye Police Department do some fingerprinting on that vehicle. They held it for a few more days for me to do that fingerprinting, and then I had my investigator to move it on out of there into a secure location where it is to this day. And also the as in the black box data, if information that they gave over to my investigator, because they gave me everything from that scene marked in safekeeping. It wasn't marked for evidence. They gave it to me as safekeeping, saying that even though it was brain injury, and that's why I want to show you guys some of the stuff on the police report, even with the Buckeye Police Department detective who felt that Daniel was endangered, did not classify this case as endangered person or a criminality in this case. That person, like I said, that vehicle, even though with the head injury that Daniel have, they still gave me all those things in, like I said, for safekeeping, and also gave me the vehicle, and they gave my investigator the black box data that they didn't even read correctly. That's the reason why he the one got the information about the 11 additional miles to this and all that stuff that was in the black box data that Buckeye gave to him. And they literally told him, word of mouth, that they wasn't investigating Daniel's case. It's over. They're done with it. That's what they told him. He was able to get all this information, all this tangible information. Everything y'all hear about that vehicle came from my investigator, and all the physical evidence that shows that this vehicle was placed there. This vehicle was crashed somewhere else, and then eventually ended up in that ravine. So I'm not sure if you mean what you say outdated. There's nothing outdated here. There's nothing. I don't know. If you could clarify your question, maybe I can help you on that, Jay. Thanks so much for your question. Also, Shauna, thank you again for your question. Again, thanks for also moderating. It's also being part of the board. I really appreciate you being secretary of the Daniel Robinson Foundation. From this and regarding to the news clip, you showed Kent, you sue them based on the side job mishaps. Okay, and that's one of the things. I don't know yet. I don't know. I haven't been looking into that. My main concern right now is to find Daniel. Those things are secondary in my mind. For right now, I'm trying to do everything I can. I've been doing that for an entire year now, doing everything I can to find my son. My mind is, really, really focused on finding Daniel and trying to push those people responsible to make sure they're doing everything they can to help find my son, especially law enforcement. That's the main thing. They should have been doing a lot of things in day one. We probably wouldn't have this problem, in my opinion, if they would have took me serious. And when I made that initial call, said, hey, my son is missing. He's out there in that desert where y'all need to put a helicopter out there. I see helicopters flying at night here. They told me they couldn't get a helicopter at night. I see them flying around Phoenix all the time. I don't know what's going on, but it's like they're chasing somebody or they're doing some rescue on a mountaintop somewhere with those helicopters circling around. They can do that, but they chose not to. And they chose to assume that Daniel wanted to go missing on his own. So that's what caused my son to be missing to this day over a year and still don't have an answer. So yes, that's a lot of responsibility on their part. But my job right now as a father is to find Daniel. All right, so here it is again. Shauna, thanks so much for your question. From this AM, do you have a copy of the T-Mobile phone history? Yes, I do. And a readout of the history of calls? Yes, I do. And it's available for us to review. No, it's not. That's part of my investigation as well. Those are things I won't be able to share to the public. I would like to, but I can't right now at this point. So thanks so much for that question from this morning. Also, remember to like, share, subscribe to this channel. You see it down on the bottom of the screen. Thank you, Barry, for putting that down again. And also, I'm going to keep this up, Barry, about the day of remembrance so everybody can see that again. Definitely, again, thank you so much for putting that in that information down there. I do have a question from Punks, Not Dead. Really appreciate you, first of all, coming out to join this Q&A from the YouTube side of things. The question is, have you thought about rising the reward? I have thought about it many times, and I really tried to. I even tried to get Buckeye Police Department to contribute. Chief Hall at the time, he was chief, told me that they couldn't do it. At first, he said he's going to check into it, but he told me he couldn't do it because it's not a criminal case, and he would have to justify it or something or other. So I couldn't rely on that. You guys understand that I wanted to raise it, doing it with the GoFundMe. At the same time, I try to make sure I'm utilizing everything I can to remain here. Like I said at the time, keep those searches going and all the stuff I had to do from that point, and being here, just doing everything I'm doing. I wasn't able to raise it up like I would like to. So, but I'm still working on that as well. I think a lot of times, it's sad to say, but money do motivate people like you got here. Say if someone knows something out there 10K is low to snitch. And, and you're right. I have people, you guys don't know half the stuff I had to go through in the background. I did have people claim to know things about my son, know what happened, and then they want to extort for money. Saying it's hard to tell the people who's genuine, those who there just for the funds, right? And so this guys was, no money don't matter to me when it comes to Daniel. For first of all, the other part is though, they would come out there and start, pretty much threaten about or asking me, challenging me, and say, hey, look, do this and give me this kind of money based on, and I'll give you information. So yeah, people are motivated by that. But it turns out those people that were saying things like that didn't fan out. But some people are motivated, sadly, by money. And I do get that. Like you said, Ponce, yeah, is very low to snitch to some people. I was kind of hoping that somebody would actually say something because they want to bring some closure to a family. So I hope that's the case. And that's a possibility as well. But yes, I definitely think about it all the time. I would like to raise a lot higher just for that reason alone. All right. So thank you, Aaron Chase, for your question. Has there been any progress in moving Daniel's case forward? Yes, there are some progress in moving this case forward. Those information will be provided to you guys pretty soon. I'm still waiting on an answer from counsel to see if those things I can't put out, because I was asked to keep certain things quiet, but there are some help. So I'm really grateful for some of the help that I've been working hard for. It took over a year, like I said earlier on this Q&A, but I'm pushing very hard. There's a lot of meetings that I do as well, things in the background to ensure that Daniel get the justice that he deserves. And also, thanks to Ruthie Player for your prayers and your love. I really appreciate that. Also, thank you, Shauna, again for the question from this morning. Have you ever considered submitting a tip regarding the Buckeye Police Department to Project Veritas? I don't know what Veritas is. To Project Veritas. I say submitting a tip regarding the Buckeye Police Department. I don't know who Veritas is, but like I said, I would like to have somebody who, you guys, I had put this information up earlier today. Let me see if I can share that screen again. But I put some information up there today, and I took it away. But I have some information today. You guys can see how the Buckeye Police Department have been cited for falsifying documents and things like that. The chief got suspended, one quit. There's some corruption going on with the business practice outside of the Buckeye Police Department. They're doing private business, things like that. So there's a lot of things going on at the department. One officer also recently got arrested for stealing information, as things like that. So a lot of things going on in the department. It makes you wonder, and sometimes I understand why things been handled the way Dane's case has been handled, because who the ones handle it. Just like the story, and I know, Shauna, this is totally different from that question, but I want to put this out to the public as well again, so probably can understand the way my thinking goes and why you ask the question yourself. When that vehicle showed up in that desert, right here in this ravine, like I said, the first thing that branch was told, do not alert the family and do not alert the media, right? Though it was in the media at the time, I was pushing really hard for local news, which I got in the local. I was pushing hard to try to keep his story out in social media, tell what was going on. And at the same time, while doing all these thousands of searches out there, all the efforts I was trying, working very hard. And they tell the guy not to tell us at all. Now, mind you, when this vehicle showed up on July the 19th, I still had a search coming that Saturday. I think July 19th was on a Wednesday or Thursday. And I still had a search that weekend going. I was devastated when I saw my son's vehicle for the first time looking like this in that police compound, but I did not cancel that search. I'm going out there to search my son. I'm going out to rescue him. And I just included my search. I expanded my search to cover this desert, this place right here, this ravine, the ravine where the vehicle was found. I did not know where this ravine was located. The Buckeye Police Department never showed it to me. Only thing I was able to do is take a map and give it to my search coordinator then at the time that was working with me. And and that's the reason why I made him my search coordinator, because he know that desert. He lived out there in Buckeye, and I gave it to him. He was able to look at the map that Buckeye gave me. They gave me three things. They gave me 2 maps and 1 picture. This picture of the scene, and not this picture right here, but a picture of the scene, 1 picture scene, and 2 maps. I was able to give him that map with the coordinates, and then he went out and found this area called, we call it the quarry area, which is supposed to be close to where the vehicle was found. And I didn't know how you know that, but he was able to get it from that mapping. And the 2 things happened that weekend after the vehicle was found. And this is strange, you guys. I want you to listen carefully. And I have reasons why I say it this way. 2 things happened that weekend. I came out there with my daughter, and was waiting on my search coordinator at the time. And he was late. He never really late. He was late this time. I made it out there with the volunteers. A lot of volunteers out there. I said we at least about 150 volunteers standing out there waiting. I said waiting to start this the search for my son. You know, we always have a safety briefing. We ought to go through all of the process, and I don't do that stuff without my search coordinator. And at the time, all of a sudden he came rolling up. I saw my search coordinator showing up with a vehicle. He waited. He always had this white police-looking vehicle. You know, not that he was a cop, but he liked to have a cop vehicle, I guess. And he was riding towards the location we were standing. I saw his vehicle, but then there's another vehicle behind him, looked exactly almost the same color, same kind of wheels, police wheels. And when they pull up, lo and behold, that's when first time I ever met Chief Larry Hall. First time I met him, he jumped outside the vehicle. And when he jumped out the vehicle, he announced who he is. I'm Chief Hall, blah, blah, blah. I introduced him to my daughter. And he said, without even really acknowledging us that well, he yelled out to the crowd, "Hey, everybody, y'all want to know where this vehicle was found?" Now, I didn't know where the vehicle was found. Buckeye Police Department have never ever took me and my family out to show the site right here where the vehicle was found. They never ever gave us that kind of courtesy. But he came out that vehicle yelling, grandstanding about, he know where the vehicle at. Y'all want to see it? And of course, volunteers want to see where this vehicle was found. I wanted to see where this vehicle found. My daughter, I'm not sure. She was very nervous about it. But we followed Chief Hall to this location. He said, if people trying to get in the car, I said, no, y'all can follow us right over this hill. It's kind of ironic. We was right there where we go over the hill, and lo and behold, it was just that close. We didn't realize that. Made it to near that area. He started pointing down the ravine, which was the wrong ravine, but he pointed out the ravine and said, "Miss Robinson, that's where your son's vehicle was found." And I'm looking at that ravine. I'm saying, it don't look familiar to me, because there's one thing, if this picture right here wasn't here, overlapping here, there's a stump in the background. It's an old cactus where the rancher ended up telling me later, where it was on fire, obviously been burnt down. He said by lightning. But there was a stump there in the back of the picture that Buckeye gave me. The one picture they only gave me that kind of remind me, let me know what the scene looked like. And I didn't see that. So I'm like, that looked kind of strange. But he said he was there. I was here and this and that and blah, blah, blah. And then he started going off about the cartels. Chief Hall was going on and on about the cartels, how bad the cartel is out there in that area. They come flying their drugs at night and just land them on drop them on Sun Valley Parkway and take back off and all kind of stuff. He just going off this grandstand about the cartels. And it kind of gave me the indication that he's saying the cartels got my son. From that point on, while he was just rambling off, my daughter came and tapped him on the shoulder, said, "Dad, some guy wanted to meet you, talk to you." And lo and behold, it's the rancher, the guy who found my son's vehicle, showed up. He told me, he said, "I don't know why Chief Hall," he kind of yelling out loud, "I don't know why Chief Hall is saying that it was there. It's right here." He pointed down this other ravine. I knew he was telling the truth because I saw that stump, and also there was glass on the ground. Of course, he said he want to share some pictures with me. He told me the story. When he said that really loudly, Chief Hall turned red in the face, walked past us, got quiet real fast, walked past us, went back over the hill where he came from, got in his vehicle. I had never, ever to this date sent him out to any searches out there concerning my son. After the rancher got through doing his spiel, telling me that how about the vehicle was there and it was found and blah, 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 he disappeared and never to this date ever came out there again to search for my son. So in my opinion, I have different thoughts about that, but you guys, I just wanted to say it in that way, and that's exactly how those transactions happen. Of course, we sat there for a while and I had to look down the ravine and things like that and really study that area. But, you guys, that's what that part of that stuff happened. So I do have some considerations, Shauna, and that goes back to your question or the question from this morning. do I consider submitting any kind of stuff? I have reasons to do a lot of things when it comes to the Buckeye Police Department, but I'm waiting to get the proper persons to do so. Also, thank you, Barry, for putting this up here. The Instagram as well, you guys. You want to follow my Instagrams? Please help find Daniel. Everything is please help find Daniel. Please help find Daniel. That's the Instagram, the YouTube, of course, the Facebook, and the TikTok is please help find Daniel. But when it comes to Twitter, you guys, it's different because Twitter won't let me put please help find Daniel. I had to put please help find the number 4. Please help find the number 4. So you want to follow Daniel, the efforts to Daniel on social media. As always, please help find Daniel, except for Twitter. Please help find the number 4 if you want to follow. Thank you, Barry, for putting that up. Also, thank you, Jay, for your questions here. If a private investigator was well-meaning, but turns out he was wrong about everything, is it possible to let him go for someone with new eyes? Well, you know, the investigator I had in the prior who was able to find the information, he's no longer with me. He quit a while back last year. But definitely, yes, always got fresh eyes looking into things when it comes, but it always come back to the same thing about the case. The evidence is evidence. Hard evidence is hard evidence. You know, it's a difference with somebody. I'm going to use an example. The Buckeye Police Department told me this ludicrous story. This is what they told me, and this is exactly how it happened. Ms. Robinson, when you showed me this picture, Detective Biffin called me out to the parking lot now. They sent me no offers, nothing. This how things go. Stand in the parking lot in a parking space. He pulled out 3 things. He pulled out 1 picture and 2 maps. And he went through the map and he started telling me, hey, explain to me where this vehicle was found off of in relation to the Sun Valley Parkway that I really didn't know about at all. Didn't really understand about being out there, of course, but didn't understand this location too well. I'm still learning. He showed me that in relation to Sun Valley Parkway, where the vehicle was found out in the desert. And then he went along and started getting to the hard part, is showing me my son's his vehicle. Well, right here, the vehicle, but it was a picture, a really horrible picture of it. This one picture, the first picture I released to the media. And he started telling me about it. He said, hey, this is your son's vehicle. He flipped the road. He was moving his hands, flipping the road and twisting and laying on the side, right? I'm hearing all this devastation right there. And they say, the good news is your son didn't sustain no injuries. He was wearing the seatbelt. We could tell by the seatbelt was locked. He didn't sustain no injuries. There was no blood in the vehicle. We found no blood in the vehicle. But we believe that he suffered a brain injury. He suffered a head injury. He kicked his way, kicked the glass out in the sunroof to escape. That's with some glass on the ground from the sunroof. He got out the vehicle and he started going through this pain of telling me how a brain injury causes people to feel hot and they'll strip up their clothes because they're hot because they got a brain injury. And that's the reason why his clothes, and he started pointing out the clothes. This is the clothes on the ground, everything. And then he stopped and say, do your son wear boxers or briefs? And I'm like, my son is a grown man. How would I know that? He said, well, everything's wearing on his body from down to socks and underwear is on the ground. That was devastating hearing that. But then at the same time, when he's telling me about this brain injury causes you to shred your clothes, he don't know that I'm a veteran from Afghanistan veteran. I have a brain injury. I never had the urge to shred clothes off. I never had urge or ever took clothes off or felt hot or whatever he was describing. But he went on to say, well, we believe that your son probably got hot, took his clothes off. He ran up under a tree somewhere to cool off and maybe succumb to his injuries, and some wildlife animal got to go home to him because I found out some mountain lion live out there. And then he said later, after he took me to the place where the vehicle was at, and he said, told me the story about some woman who he said he's seen this kind of thing before. The family thought he was missing, that loved one was missing, this woman, and it turned out she went to become a nun or something or other. He said, well, not necessarily saying that about your son, but maybe he just wanted to be away from your family and join the monastery and become a monk. So those theories right there that I was hearing, this craziness from this department, prompted me to get my private investigator who got those answers, those hard answers, those hard evidence, hard physical evidence that was found, not the speculations and theories that sound ludicrous from that department, but it got physical evidence that say, hey, look, this vehicle got 2 impressions on the windshield. Somebody take a beat with something. The transfer paint on the side of the vehicle near the rear well on the passenger side. The window that was busted out, where the glass really came from. and there was no sunroof glass because that vehicle don't have a sunroof, don't have a sun panel. So those type things. The sock that was found near the well site that matched the sock in the evidence bag. So it's so much hard things, and the information that Buckeye gave them from the black box data with 11 additional miles. You guys know about the 30-some miles per hour before impact, and also the infotainment system that he had analyzed that showed that the vehicle first crash happened around 4 hours after the vehicle, after Daniel supposedly went missing from that well site. So with all of that hard evidence and everything like that, this Buckeye Police Department, we was really hesitant of giving them that information, me and my investigator, but ultimately they are the authorities and they are the police. And we shared the information with them. Once they did that, they shut down on me, didn't start talking to me anymore, didn't share anything with me anymore. They alienated me and my family. And then they, instead of helping me in my searches to help find my son with all the things I kept asking them with letters, when it came to drones, when it came to cadaver dogs, when it came to helicopter, whatever the case may be, I had to provide that for myself. I had to charter a helicopter just to go search. There's just certain little things that happened out there that we had to provide for ourselves money-wise. The department didn't want to do it, spend a dime on Daniel. But they turned around and hired their own private investigator, who was also a arrest accident reconstructionist that I already have. I already hired one. Gave them the information they needed. Instead of accepting that information, they wanted to rebut it, in my opinion. They hired the guy to say what they want. This guy asked for information. Never seen my son's vehicle. Never touched it. Never smelled it. Never tasted it. Never even seen it at all, period. Didn't even ask to see it. Never seen my son's clothing. He's going by third-party information and made a full report. Not only that, the insult to that was he, instead of going to the Jeep company, he went to a dealership and asked some workers at a dealership, anybody who probably making minimum wage or whatever the case may be, asking them about some information when it comes to data on a vehicle, right? And they know not to do that because they went to the manufacturers. They would have denied that because the vehicle do not have any recalls on it. So that's one of the biggest things as well. But they did that and they put that in their report. That's an insult. That was an insult because of everything that we gave to these guys that would suggest foul play, and they downplayed it. So that's the thing right there. So you say about the second eyes. Yes, my investigator was the second eyes. My next investigator was the third eye. I'm the fourth eye. I do my own investigation as well. So, Jay, so definitely with that department, no. That's the problem right there. So I wouldn't take anything to stop or whatever they have to say. So I do have this, put this up here as well. Shauna, thanks so much for putting that. Do you have a question? If you want to voice them, you can voice them here. When you ask your question, start with the capital letter Q, or the word question, or question marks, for easy citing, because as I'm coming down, you guys, I want to say hello to the new names I see, but if I miss your question, I won't miss your question if you can put those, like you said, those information there. I can try not to miss. I can see a lot better as I'm coming down, but I'm trying to say hello to some people. I see some new faces, and I want to invite you into this Q&A. Thank you, like Poppy. Thanks so much for being here. Blessings to you as well. You guys don't forget to hit the like, share, subscribe button to help these algorithms. You can just hit that button, really help get the story out of father a lot farther. So I appreciate that. Also, thank you so much, Jay, for your question. Thanks so much coming on the YouTube side of things. David, what about the reports that a hunter or government agent encountered Daniels hours later and spoke with him? Is that true? Well, you know what? A couple things about that. I thought it was true at first. This guy came to, he was brought to my attention by my then search coordinator. Excuse me, you guys. Give me a second here. He was brought to me by my then search coordinator. And, the search coordinator came to me and said, hey, this is a federal law enforcement agent. He said, he's seen your son. And I'll be honest with you, when I first initially saw him, I was very busy with the search. I mean, we was in the middle of a search. And I'm not judgmental, but his parents wasn't law enforcement. But at the same time, I do know of undercover cops and things like that. Maybe, he's one of those. So being that I had time to do anything except the story that my then search coordinator told me, introducing him to me, I had to end up sending him to my investigator. Whatever happened between my investigator and the search coordinator at the time, they was vetting his story. Their job was to vet. My investigator's job was to vet his story. I was ending up doing a press conference for my family press conference out there in the desert. In the meantime, like I said, they were supposed to be vetting the guy's story. They came to me and said, we vetted his story. He was actually out there. So I was very pleased to get a new perspective on what possibly happened to my son. They said, hey, look, this guy's seen your son. And, you know, I should have known something was kind of shanky about that somewhat, because one thing that did happen, he said he seen my son around 1 o'clock, right? But then when that report came out as well about the first initial crash happened around 1 o'clock that day, he changed the story, said he seen my son around 10 in the morning. But his story was to, once he's been so-called vetted, he told me that he seen my son through the sights of his rifle. I didn't like hearing that. You know, I'm a military guy. He saw my son through right, and he was wondering why he was out there. So he moved on. He said he saw him again later near a ravine. It's called a Wagner Wash area on the side of the bank. He said he was just parked there. It appears that he was cleaning his car. He said he walked there with his children. He had his children with him because he was out there target practicing. He approached my son, very well mannered, the very clean cut. The vehicle was clean, like he was cleaning the car or something. But he said he didn't realize he was, had only one hand until my son walked away from the door. Once my son walked away from that door, he said is when he first saw Daniel, that he didn't have but one hand. Him and my son had a conversation, he says, and he asked my son, is that a good area to be target practicing? And my son told him no. You know, you don't want to target practice in this area because we work here. And he said my son pointed him where people target practice out in that area, where to go, right? And a couple of things ended up happening since that guy told the story. I was really pleased to be able to share that with the Buckeye Police Department. I did try to, he said he's tried his best to tell his story to the Buckeye Police Department. They was ignoring him for a good long time. That's the reason why he ended up coming to my investigator and myself, came to me first, and my investigator, like I said, who was supposed to have vetted his story. When I went home for the Christmas holiday to try to spend time with my mother, my family, my little young daughter in South Carolina, I got a phone call from, I forgot who exactly it was, found some disturbing things about this guy. And, you know, it caught me off guard because I didn't know anything. But when I got the information from my then logistics coordinator, who was out doing some searches for me while I was going away. And that information that I received was very devastating, devastating, you know. And I really did feel sidetracked because my investigator job was to vet this guy's story. Make a long story short, there were some things about this guy that wasn't true. Found out he wasn't a federal law enforcement officer, and the badge that he was showing us at the time, he's not an officer. As a matter of fact, I think he got in trouble before for impersonating and things like that. So some of those things that wasn't true. Very devastating. And one of the biggest things when I talked to the Buckeye Police Department about this guy, because he did go up to talk to Buckeye to tell his story. I talked to Detective Biffin at a search that I had early January this year, and January or February this year. And he was out there because I requested him to come out to search this one well with his camera. That didn't use. There's another story about that as well. But when they came out there, the Buckeye Police, I talked to Detective Biffin about it, and they said, "Hey, what about this guy?" They said, "Well, they corroborate his story. He's telling the truth." And I said, "Well, what about this information about him? You know, his history. Oh, that don't mean anything. They corroborate his story." So I'm like, okay, well, they saying this guy was actually out there, so that means that this guy have seen my son. But I would look at him maybe a possible suspect because of that. But the Buckeye Police Department see nothing wrong with his story. So only on the dawn on me when I had this. That's what this Q&A is for, you guys. You guys come on this Q&A. You help me out in my investigation as well, because these questions help out a lot. Help me think, and also to question some things. You guys can see the angles that I may miss. I'm an open-minded person, despite what somebody else may say. Very open-minded. I have to be, because I have to find my son. And one thing, one person here that comes out all the time, her name is She Rose Nation. She came on the Q&A, and she asked us one question that changed my whole outlook of everything about that story about this guy that you're speaking about. She says, well, how can, he said, your son give him directions to where to shoot, right? When my son have never been in that area ever in his life. And you know, when she said that's that question, you know, I was like, she's right. That's my son's first time ever been out there. His first time ever meeting this guy at the well site. You cannot give somebody directions of a place that you don't know where to shoot and say, "Oh, you get to go over here because that's BLM land over there." He haven't studied no maps. He had to send a text message to try to get direction at 9, a little before 9, 9 o'clock, and then call. In my opinion, that 9:28 was a call to see how to get there. Obviously, so that type of stuff. So the thing is, with that. The thing is with that damaged that whole thing, but I would say how Buckeye corroborated that. I didn't corroborate his story. And a matter of fact, that's very suspect to me. And I asked them to look into that as well. Also, thanks so much for your question. I do have a question here from Ellen. Thanks to Ellen for being here this evening on the Facebook side of things. The question is curious. What led his job to search for Daniel at your daughter's house on the day of the 23rd? I think, okay, let me finish the question first. Did Ken tell them to look for Daniel? Was that standard protocol because they had no further contact after second well assignment? Well, a couple of things. When I was on the way up here to Arizona, I hear because of course they change shifts and there'd be another officer I have to deal with. I've been hearing different portions of that story. It's not written in the reports that way, but in reality, I do have those phone recordings from these officers. One of the things is these officers said a couple of things when they talked to this guy at the Wellside Ken. One indication was to me that when he said Daniel left, he called and said Daniel was missing, right? And he immediately went out looking for him. Then there was another set of from another officer saying that the job call inquired about Daniel, and that's how he was alerted that he left out of other, that type of deal. So how that really happened, I really don't know, but I'm going by what this report says and what this guy said to me personally. He told me exactly, like I told you guys, when I looked this guy in his eye, because that's what I came here to do. The first thing I did as a father to a man who's going to tell me something different from my son, I had to have this man tell me the story that I keep hearing from these cops. And he said it verbatim. I mean, word for word, almost like they wrote it down. He said it just exact the way. But then after a while, we started conversating about this whole Phoenix Firebird helicopter thing that he said he didn't see and wasn't there and all the stuff. He started changing the story. He started telling me the extra thing. That's what I heard about him staying left of the tracks, not to disturb them. And also that he know the police is gonna come. He didn't want to do it. He know the police is gonna come looking for Daniel, and this thing gonna turn national. It's gonna turn, and ironically, it did. It's gonna turn national. And then he told him the story about going walking and all the stuff, going to high place to look over this big hill or whatever to see if you can see him from afar. And he started painting rocks with red paint to try to alert so cops can know where to come look and things like that. So that's when you start changing the story. But somehow those things don't make a report, but they take things from coworkers, of course, and want to put in a report to give that narrative that somehow Daniel has some kind of mental thing going on. But one thing about that question, definitely going to my daughter's house. I think because the gentleman that went to my daughter's house is Daniel's friend. He's an off work friend as well. He works. He's not a geologist. I understand he's an office worker. He works in the office, but him and Daniel hangs out. So that's one of Daniel's friends that's here in Arizona. So I don't know if that was the reason why, because he did leave a voicemail in high concern. He did leave several text messages in high concern for Daniel's well-being. So I don't know if that would prompt him himself to go to his sister's house. She was, like I said, wondering how he even know where she lived. He said Daniel brought him there one time before. And so that's the reason why I believe now if he went there, it'd be based on probably the way he feel. If, in my opinion, would be my friend went missing or something. At least that's what I'm hoping so. Then he said, did Ken tell them to look for Daniel? No. And nobody told him to look for Daniel. One thing that stands out with me when he said he went to go look for Daniel, if you're gonna go leave your work site to go look for somebody, that means that you really care about their well-being, right? So he's saying Daniel went missing around 9, but he had not called Daniel's phone out one time until 3-something that afternoon, right? Not one time. My son called him at 9:28. He answered call. My son called before. He didn't answer. My son ended up leaving a text message. He didn't answer. But when that 3-something came in the afternoon, he somehow called Daniel's phone when, Daniel, of course, wasn't going to be answering his phone at that time because he was missing already. He somehow didn't. But, me personally, if I'm that concerned that I'm going to go walk and ride and do whatever he said, do stay left of the tracks and all that, the first thing I would have done when he took off that way, and he said he called the job, Daniel's job, and alerted them what happened. If I was that concerned and what I was saying, worried about his eye, see if his eyes dilated, all the stuff, he's acted like he's very concerned. He could have did one thing. He had the number. He called the number before. He could have called. Hey man, you okay? Hey man, you just drove off. Are you coming back? That type deal. But that didn't happen. It didn't happen. No voicemail off. Didn't happen. No voicemail. Quick call. The voicemail call didn't leave a voicemail. So at 3-something in the evening. So there's a lot with that to say as well. But I do have a question here from Karita. Thank you, Karita, also for all your help. What age did Daniel start playing the trombone? Oh man, he was very young. Daniel was in elementary school when he was playing trombone. You said trombone. I'm thinking about the French horn. The trombone, he dabbled. He didn't fully play that. His brother was a trombone player. Is a trombone player. But Daniel tested it out with his brother around the house and stuff like that, and also at school. But that was in high school when he did that. But he was young. The first instrument he ever played was the French horn, and the French horn he did that in elementary school. I don't know if they call that here grade school here or not, but elementary school. And do you have any challenges with holding it as well? I'm sure he did. With the French horn. I wasn't here. I was actually in the Army then. I was going away, but I have gotten many pictures. Daniel even made the local news playing that French horn. At times, like I said, Daniel always getting some kind of awards, always getting some kind of achievements, always got something going on. I used to have people when I was in the military. I could be in Afghanistan when I was there. People tell me, "Hey man, your children doing this, blah blah, so on." Proud, man. You got some really smart children, all that kind of things, So I've been happy when I do get to come see my children from war or whatever I was doing at the time in the military. And but yes, he did very well, and he taught himself. I think that's one of the reasons why the local news jump onto that story as well. So yes, Daniel's very young. He's in grade school. We call it elementary school in South Carolina. All right. I'll see if anybody have any more questions, just like Karita did here. You guys put the word question there, question mark, or a big capital letter Q. That helps as well. This is work to WG. Thanks so much again for your questions. Question in regards to the red paint, what are your thoughts on the theory that the paint came from the main gate to the well site? That main gate, I did get that information from a satellite footage. It's weird to see that. And I'll tell you the reason why. I used to go out to that main gate when I first started out coming out to this desert. And I used to go out there when I used to do news interviews at the gate on Sun Valley Parkway. Only reason I didn't go in that gate because I was taking advice of the Buckeye Police Department at the time. I'm a veteran, a wartime veteran. I know about deserts. I've been in the desert, and you don't play with desert. I didn't understand the terrain here in Arizona, and I wanted to make sure I did my due diligence. I was very tempted to take my car at the time, low riding car, out in that desert. That's all I had. When I came here, I didn't have much to leave. I didn't know how much it's going to cost. I didn't know anything, the expenses or whatever the case may be, and renting out this type of vehicle to get out there in the desert. I didn't know how to do anything. I didn't know much when I got out here in Arizona, but I did know how to get to Sun Valley Parkway and stand outside that gate, right at that gate, and use my binoculars and looking out there, trying to do everything I can to get somebody out there to go rescue Daniel and to see if I can see him from the road. Because my vision from that binoculars will make it appear that everything is right there, real close. It look more flat when you're doing that. And so, to make a long story with that, I'm standing in front of that gate, and I do understand that you may be getting that from WG. That was red paint, because I get it from John Q as well. Red paint on that main gate, right between the where it closes at. So if that's what you're talking about, that came from a satellite footage back. I forgot what month that was, before Daniel went missing. Well before Daniel went missing, the same year, last year. And that paint transfer, that paint was on that gate itself. The red paint or whatever it is on the little bar. This was small section of it, not too long, but small section of it, high enough off the ground, I guess. Somebody might think it came in contact with that red paint. But I can tell you when I was there, before the vehicles showed up, before the vehicles ever towed out of there, before I started my searches, I was there almost every day, out there almost every day, not every day, but almost every day. And I can tell you, there was no red paint on that fence gate. So it's either when that photo from that satellite was taken, they probably had some there, and that gate being replaced before Daniel went missing. But it's definitely or only way I can look at it, if it have any involvement with Daniel's vehicle, it only could have happened at the time when it only could happen at the time that Daniel asked me, like 1:00 that day, because I was here on, he went missing on June 23rd. I was here on June 26th, and I started heading out that way. So in between that time, the only way that happened, and that fence don't ever look like it was actually replaced. That fence gate didn't look like it was replaced, but I could be wrong. But I don't know why the image on that satellite shows that. In reality, when you're on the ground, there's no red paint on that fence at all. So really puzzled about that. But yes, definitely looked into that as well. And also I have some things in place right now to do some more stuff out there in that desert. And but that's one of the main things I'll be looking at again. Try to double check and back that up. Also, I want to thank Travis Stroll. Thanks so much for that super chat. I really appreciate that. God bless you for that. That's really nice of you and kind of you to support. I really appreciate you guys have been supporting and trusting me on everything I'm doing for my son. I've been out here for an entire year, not on vacation like I like to say, but definitely searching for my son and doing everything and utilizing everything I have and everything I can do to do that, just that, search for Daniel and to be out here to do so. So I really appreciate you guys. Every amount helps. Everything you guys do, it helps towards me bringing Daniel home. So I really appreciate it, or me fighting to bring Daniel home. So I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. God bless you for that. Also, I want to put you up there once I get down to your section there. Highlight that. I really appreciate that, Travis. Thanks so much. God bless you again. Also, I have a question here, I believe, from Jay. Thank you again for being here. Will, thanks again. Okay, I thought it was a question here. We'll load about my theories about where Daniel will be found and why the search methods are correct at first, but backwards later. Okay, and the search efforts at first, if you're talking about the search based on the well site, or because after that point, when the vehicle showed up, of course, I expanded my searches to cover not just the well site, but also this area, this site right here, the crash site, we like to call it. And it was also based on how far a person could walk without clothes in that time of the year and without water, because there was untouched water in that cases of water in that vehicle. How far they can walk without water, butt naked, and also if he somehow had to change of clothes, how far you can walk with a change of clothes and shoes or whatever case. So it's based on that as well. Also, it was based on later when we found the information from my investigator, the 11 additional miles was based on things like that. The science, based on the science as well, the terrain, which direction is least resistance, which is going south down the ravine. A lot of times people follow a ravine, follow the water, because there's a Hassapa River there, even though it's dry, and most times, but somebody can follow that south, that type deal. So we had a lot of things that we went by. Also, the fact that there was a mountain lion that lives out there. We actually, and this is one of the things that was told to me as well by the Buckeye Police Department. They say, hey, don't go out to this location. They came into my site, and my setting map say, don't go on this grid here. There's a mountain lion live there. Don't go there in this mountain, some kind of cave and all that. Mountain lion cave. Well, I understand mountain lions don't have caves, but that's what they say, this cave. And but they told me not to go. Of course, that's where I was going, just because they said that. And I did go check out that what we call Pride Route, and that we didn't have to this day found any caves, but we did clear the area where they claim this mountain lion is. He's out there. A search coordinator at the time, a new search coordinator at the time, have seen, and some of the volunteers have seen this mountain lion. Game and Fish already had a tag on it, but we didn't have any problems from that lion. So one thing I can say, those theories, like you said, based on maybe like you saying, is based on the well site search, or are you saying like broadly when it was both the well site and this crash site? And thank you for the information. Ellen, thank you so much for your question. I have I had a concussion in the desert, and when I came to, I certainly did not strip my clothes off. And I really appreciate you putting that there, Ellen. You have not stripped your clothes off. I have not stripped my clothes off. And all my battle buddies in Afghanistan, when we got hit by IDs, never ever stripped their clothes off when they had brain injuries. So I don't know where the Buckeye Police Department get that from. I don't know the science behind it, but it's never not true in my experience as well. Disorder in it, yes, you're right. Fell off a horse on my head. Oh my gosh, I'm glad you survived that. No shredding of your clothes, and I really appreciate. I'm glad you shared that with us, but I'm glad you're okay as well. And I hope you did and recovered very well. But yes, I have never known anybody with any head injury that shred their clothes off. And we have a lot of them in the military have brain injuries and things. And I have never yet to see a soldier strip his clothes off because of a head injury. Also, Ever So Pretty LLC, thanks so much for being here. Your question, do you have any suspects you wish you can investigate more? Yes, I do. And I have some game players. Yes, I do have those. And I'm working on those as well. You guys, trust me, I'm working on a lot. You guys see me on Q&A, answer questions. Some people scrutinize me based on, I'm not an expert. I'm just a father that came out, passionate for find my son. I'm learning as I go. I can't get everything perfect. I can't get everything right, but I'm trying the best I can. I'm learning as I go. But one thing I can say, a lot of times people, because they see me on Q&A or they see me doing interviews or see certain things, they don't know what half of the things that goes in the background. I have a team. They know, and some things that I had to do in the background to try to get justice for my son. We had to set meetings to go on to talk to these city managers, to these city council meetings. We're doing a whole lot, and at the same time, helping other families by having these events and things like that. So it's a lot of movements, trying to get awareness going, as well as still trying to investigate and get some push towards get law enforcement to do some things. So it's a lot of work, and but I do have people and the evidence and things like that of certain things, but we're waiting on this forensic work. So, and to tie those things together. Ever So Pretty, are you able to give us more information on suspects? Not at this time, or people, I cannot tip my hand on what I do know, but I definitely will be getting into the proper law enforcement when that time comes. The time is not here yet. But thank you so much for that. Thanks from Scotland. Thank you, so Nova Scotland. Scott to us. Thank you so much for being here. Also well from Facebook. I really appreciate that. Jace Silverheads, thank you so much for being here. I hope it isn't a case podcast. All right, thanks so much, Ghost Missing. I really appreciate that, Jay, for being here. Sunset Dragon, thank you so much. Good evening. I really appreciate it. Good evening to you. Thank you for your love and your prayers. I really appreciate that. Thank you, Liz Gonzalez. Thank you so much for being here as well. Also, you guys, if you have a question, do like Liz did here. Put the word question there first before you question, or question mark, capital letter Q. That'll help me find as I'm coming down. Are you able to tell us more things about the suspects? No, I cannot at this moment, but those times will come. It will come. Also, thank you, Pamela Garrisons. I really appreciate you coming out again. If you truly believe Daniel's Jeep was driven out there a month later, who would have opened the fence to let the Jeep in? Most gates have locks where you can enter unless people opens it off the main road, unless they come through a different way. Well, I can't tell you, Pamela, all the gates in that area to get to that point is unlocked. There's no locks on them at all. On their thing, there is a sign they'll tell you to keep the gates closed because they do have wild, loose cattle that runs the desert, and free range cattle. But no, there's no gates, no gates locked in that area. And also, as in the vehicle being driven out there, I don't know how the vehicle made it out there, but I can tell you, the vehicle wasn't there. The vehicle wasn't there. We already know that, and these are the reasons why, Pamela. It's first of all, it's common sense for one thing. The other part is evidence from testimony. They purposely put in whatever they want on testimony wise, but they leave out other things in their report. If you notice, the first thing happened. They say they did a Civil Air Patrol. No, sorry, they did a Phoenix Firebird helicopter. They got a helicopter, got Phoenix Police Department. Phoenix Police Department came out, they say, almost 3 days after my son went missing to search for Daniel in this area where this vehicle was found, going to eventually be found, right? And a well site. They didn't find it, didn't see the vehicle, right? And this is in the broad daylight. They did this whole big search. They said they've been on the ground and all the stuff, right? The vehicle wasn't there. They covered the spot. All right. The second search came almost 2 weeks later. They used this thing called Civil Air Patrol, and they claimed they had two aircrafts. I promise you guys got video of that. They only did one aircraft, but I can tell you, let's go with them saying 2 aircrafts. But they had people on the ground. They had personnel on the ground as well. Went over this area from the air and the ground. The vehicle wasn't there, right? But then the rancher, when the vehicle actually was there, the rancher did his testimony to say the vehicle was there 2 to 3 days prior, because I was there. I came through here looking for my cattle. I was coming down the ravine to make it to this corral that's south of which it is. You go south of this ravine that dumps off into the Honsaber River, Wash the Honsaber River. But there is a corral south of the spot here, right, where the cattle come down that ravine, and they end up tracking them into that corral where they catch them up, and the vehicle wasn't there. So those are the reasons why the vehicle was not there, right? And also the evidence of the vehicle driven 11 additional miles after the initial crash. If the vehicle crashed in the ravine for the first time, how in the world it got up from out that ravine and driven for another 11 additional miles and then land back into that ravine, right? It's common sense. But at the same time, the Buckeye Police Department wants you to believe that, right? That so to explain that discrepancy, the 11 additional miles, they come up and go to a dealership with this guy from, well, I call it bogus, of my opinion. What's called an investigator they hired to say, they go to some worker to say that discrepancy came from some computer error or something with the mileage, extra mileage on the vehicle, right? So that type deal. But from their own search, you guys would say the vehicle wasn't there. They don't want to search the area. I didn't. They claim they did. Then once we call them out on, they say, "Oh, the terrain was so thick and lush." I'm telling you guys, I'm start putting in these pictures. You guys on this Q&A to show you the pictures they gave me from their drone footage. There wasn't no helicopter footage, but their drone footage, where they say it was so lush, and you guys can see how thin that brush right here in this picture. It comes up the highest points. Most of them come up to my chin. The rest of them may be a little taller, but it's not as significant tall, and they're so spread out. You would not miss that vehicle in that ravine from that altitude looking down on the ground, right? The other part is, you guys, they say, I'm gonna say how thorough their searches are. They said they did a thorough search around this area right here where the vehicle was found. And how come we found the human skull near the spot where they had said they had all these cadaver dogs, the search dogs in the spot, and not one time the dogs ever found the human skull, but we did without the cadaver dogs. But then when I was able to bring cadaver dogs on my own to my searches, get those cadaver dogs out there, they ping on location of a tree. 3 different sets of cadaver dogs that we brought out there ping on a certain tree in that area 3 different times, right? But their dogs, many dogs they claimed they had didn't. But I can't tell you, the rancher said all that many dogs wasn't true. They only had 1 dog, and the dog came at 10 o'clock at night, and they took it back in because some mountain lion, that mountain lion I was talking about was stalking it or something or other. So it's a long story. There's a debate about that, but that's what they got in the report. But one thing you do notice that they want that theory to stick so bad, you do not hear anything about the rancher who found the vehicle, his testimony that he gave us, me and my investigator. The vehicle wasn't there 2 to 3 days prior. And they know that. Buckeye know that. But they're not going to put that in the report because they need that to stick. They need that story to say, hey, that vehicle's down that ravine, and that's where it's going to stay. It was crashed down that ravine, and that 11 additional miles that came after the crash, we got to try to find a way out of that, and the way out of that to say, oh, there was some worker tap, I'm sure, on the shoulder or something, my opinion, say, hey, what you think about this? And say, yeah, it can happen sometime. And they write in their report, yeah, it can happen sometime, the mileage get off or something, whatever the case may be. So that's the way I look at that. But the fence part, to your question, definitely there's no locks in those gates. You have some gate locks and stuff like that, but it's way down, some north, some gates south, to where we go in to make it to these locations and stuff. that may have a lock or something on it. But other than that, no, there's no locks on these gates. All right, Liz Gonzalez, thanks so much for your question. What do you personally think happened? Think that happened? I think foul play happened. Matter of fact, I really believe foul play happened. I can't say that. And do you have proof of something that happened, but you can't say? Yes, I have a lot. A lot of it, some things I can't say, is the evidence of things I just told you guys about, the physical evidence that says a lot. And the fact that coupled with the fact that Daniel would not go anywhere without telling his family. You got to think about his state of mind as well. What we know as a family, not somebody who don't know my son for about a year opinion, or somebody who met my son for only 10 minutes opinion, but somebody like myself who was there at my son's birth since he was born, since my son came out of his mother's womb, you know what I'm saying? So from day one, and being there a part of my son's life. So take it from me, you know what I'm saying? I know my son's, and also the fact that, you know, the clothing on the ground that we don't identify to certain other little things, elements that's there. Just like the hard hat, you guys, hard hat, this they say, oh man, there's a lot of rain in that area. And it was monsoon season, so it's possible between the 23rd and when this vehicle was found, the 19th. Yeah, it's possible a lot of rain, but you know the suspicious part of that, the hard hat theory they came up with. Oh yeah, we found a hard hat full of rainwater in the vehicle, inside the vehicle, on the back seat, back area, right? Move my head over this way. That's the only window that's knocked out. Only window that's knocked out in that vehicle. The only one. No other windows broken out in this vehicle. And the hard hat was in the back seat. That went over this side right here is not missing. Hard hat down, low down here somewhere in the back seat, right? Against the back right there. And it says full up rainwater, right? So rainwater made it from right here onto an angle, the angle to get over here in the back seat to fill up a hard hat, right? That much rain. And then it said, and I'm telling the other part is that's ridiculous. The side, the sunroof, and that angle as well. That's in the center. The back part of that vehicle is farther back for rainwater. A couple things that's not true. They show. I see the pictures of those hard hats. They have a card in it, a business card, and anybody know if a business card sitting in water, you can probably sit it. You guys have a business card, take your card and put it in a cup of water, and come back an hour later and tell me what happened to that card. This card, I could read everything on the card, is intact and all that stuff, and that somehow it survived, right? The other part is to that talk about this rain damage and all that stuff. So much significant rain, it was rain damage. I can't tell you if it's that significant rain, just like the rancher poured out right here, right up on this vehicle right here. See that little open space right there behind me? That's a ravine. It's almost like a drainage system. That water, when it comes down, it's called washes. The water comes down really hard. When they get down to the bottom of this ravine, you'll see it like almost like a dam. You'll think a beaver did it or something like that, but it carries a lot of debris down that ravine. And when it does it, it collects where something catches it and start collecting all that debris, broken sticks and things like that. Just like the rancher pointed out about that under this vehicle, if water was coming through there would have been almost like a ring in the tub. It was clogged up right there in the sense all that debris would have got stuck right there between that vehicle, wouldn't have get past. And when the rain subsided, that debris would have still been sitting there, and it would have been a ring part on that vehicle itself. There wasn't no significant rain like that caused any kind of water to be able to fill up a hard hat. So it's a lot of science. You can just look at the common sense of the stuff what people say. It doesn't make sense. You can try to make it true, but if you look at common sense always rules that kind of BS out. It don't make sense. But anyway, the facts of the matter that matches, like I said, what my investigator found, the fact that the rancher said wasn't there, the fact they own searcher said wasn't there, and the data that my investigator pulled said wasn't there, as well as the damage of the vehicle, the physical evidence, the damage in the red transfer paint, they said it was pressed somewhere else, that type deal, and it happened around 4 o'clock that day after my son supposedly went missing. That by itself stands by itself. Right? Those are called evidence, physical evidence, not opinions of a police department who want to put that vehicle in that ravine. Okay, and also, and do you have proof of something that happened? That was it. Till you are sure. Yes, I am very sure. I want to go ahead and put this out right here as well. Thank you, Travis, for that. And like I said earlier, and Dog Defender, thank you so much. I see you as well. Thank you so much, Travis, for that super chat. And like I said, you guys supporting everything I'm doing here. You guys believe in everything I'm doing. I'm finding my son. I'm here working very hard to find my son. I'm not an expert. I know there can be a lot of people. When you put stuff in the public eye, there can always be criticisms. There always going to be things people have to say to you. But I let those things roll off like water roll off on the duck. I know what I'm here for. I'm fighting real hard for my son. I have been doing that from day one. I had left my home in South Carolina just to be here because of my son. There's nothing great that I'm doing because that's what fathers would do. What I'm saying is all my efforts and everything I'm doing, everything you guys are helping with is to help me stay here and be able to fight for my son and do those things I need to do. So I'm grateful every time you guys donate, you guys support this channel. You like, share, subscribe, help me get my son's story out there. I'm appreciative to the, I'm going to Zerlina, for instance, Friday. You guys, if y'all watch a show called Zerlina, we'll be there on Friday. I do things like that, go to interviews, do everything I can to keep Dan's story alive. And I really appreciate you guys for being supportive. That's all I've been doing from day one since I've been here is my efforts to find Daniel. Nothing else, to enjoy myself, live. Like I told you guys, Arizona is a state I would not be in. Daniel wasn't missing. You best believe. He tried to get me out here. You best believe. He even tried. He loved Arizona. He wanted me out here really bad. Hey, Dad, I love him. We had debates about which state is better and all this kind of stuff. But you know what? He loved it. He is a geologist. This is for him. He liked that dry stuff. I'm a person that like the ocean. I like tropical stuff. I'd rather be in Florida somewhere or somewhere in California, somewhere near a beach somewhere. That's where I would like to be right now. Enjoying the ocean, the waves, and smelling that salt water. That's where I am. I'm a humid guy. I like humidity, that type deal. So this would not be a choice place, but I'm here for my son. And I will be here and try to do everything I can to fight for him. And I'll fight for his honor, fight for respect and his justice. So thank you again, Travis. I want to say thank you so much for that super chat. That really means to me a lot to me. That means dear to my heart. I really appreciate you for doing that and believing what I'm doing. God bless you for that. Also, thank you, Liz, for your question. Do you have a new detective on it? No, not at this moment. My private detective, no, not at this moment. I had two. The second one as well. I didn't need that anymore. He did what he needed to do right now. We're just trying to get forensic work done on this vehicle. That's my main concern for right now. But as investigator, that's nothing else, obviously, that I really could do. The investigator I have, he pretty much just gave me guidance to do things on my own because I am still doing my own investigation as well. As you guys, you got to understand, the private investigator can have limitations as well. They're private citizens. I'm trying to get ready since I have so much experience in I think you have to serve some years, a year of experience to becoming a private investigator, and always there's some little stipulations in that. And I'm really trying to get my own private investigator license so I can go a little farther into searching what happened to my son. So you guys definitely, like I said, they limited as well. They're not law enforcement. You have their limitations. So yes, he gave me that advice, and I took that advice. And I'm working on that. He gave me all the information I need to keep going. So thank you for your question as well, Liz. I really appreciate you guys. Thanks so much, you guys, for all these questions. I really haven't a lot of questions this evening, and I really appreciate that. That's what the Q&A is for, to help you guys get some information about what's going on. Thank you, Dog Defender. Mr. Robinson, I know you have the best intentions for calling me back, but to save you some value time, I sent you 3 text messages today. When you get a minute, if you have questions, I'm here. Oh, thank you, Dog Defender, and I really appreciate it. And you sent it to the 803-200-7994. Definitely, you guys. I really probably had these events. Like I said, I just had a lot of things be going on that caused me to miss Dog Defender, miss your text messages. I apologize for that. I tried to, when I first started this thing. The last thing I used to do at night when I try to go to bed is to answer everybody's text, whether it's on Twitter, all the ones on Twitter, all the ones on Instagram, all the ones on Facebook, and on the cell phone. I try to answer, and also the emails. So I try to get to everybody, and then after a while, I can be honest with you guys, with everything, the efforts I've been trying to have a team now, and all the things we're doing to try to get Dan's story out, going to these events, trying to take care of whatever the case may be, everything we're trying to do, get interviews. I can be honest with you, it's hard for me to even get to some of these messages. I try my best, and it takes forever, and people get mad at me and things like that and think I just don't ignoring them. I'm not ignoring anybody. It's hard to get to them sometimes, but I do try to make it a point to stop and get some. And I do it at the time, and then as soon as I start on them, then I have to jump on something else. So it's always multitasking for me. But I will get to it, Dog Defender. I thank you so much for really giving me some things. I'm sure you got some great things for me. So I'm really looking for that, and I will answer your messages. All right. Thank you so much. Thank you for hanging in there with me as well. I really appreciate it. God bless you for that. You guys have any more questions like Liz Gomez have here? Put the word question there, followed by your question, or the capital letter Q, or question marks, things like that can help me find as I'm coming down. I'm trying to squeeze in the last questions I have, and try to get everybody that I can. So I'll be coming down the comment section kind of quick, and I will be specifically looking for those type things, the word question and your questions. All right. That just changed something just now. Okay, here we go. Question, Liz Gomez Gonzalez. Thank you so much. Question: do you believe in people that do card readings? And I'm wondering if those people that do that would have insight. Even though I don't believe in that stuff, I have heard they have helped. You know, you say that, and I'll be honest with you. I have been bombarded by psychics and things like that. They call themselves mediums and things like that. When I first came out of Arizona, I didn't know that there was that many psychics and mediums in this world until Daniel went missing. I came out here to Arizona. I had to end up going to Sedona one time, and that was a very spiritual place, very beautiful. I see why Daniel loved it on the red rocks and stuff. The geologist's dream come true, I guess. You know, so I'm learning that Arizona have a lot of things when it comes to spirituality and things like that. So I get bombarded by it. In my growing up, I come from the South, of course. I've been taught that, you know, to stay away from things like that. I'm a Christian background, and to stay away from certain things. Now, that's my upbringing. I don't have any knowledge of those type deals. I don't understand those things. So I'm not afraid of anything I don't know. I just, but I'm not a person that just go explore those things as well. I'll just talk to stay away from those things. So when I do get approached by it, I'm not ever going to turn volunteers and people down who really support Daniel, because I really appreciate each and everybody, whether they're a psychic, medium, or anything alike. I really appreciate your support and really help. I'm just not a person that would actually go out and seek guidance from a psychic or medium and things like that. So not saying I don't believe in and what people could do. I don't know people's gifts. I don't understand everything about this world. No, I don't think none of us do. But so there may be some things out there that I just don't understand or know about. But I can reserve to say that. But I just don't personally subscribe to psychics and mediums and things like that. I'm more of a literal person, meaning that just like I tell you about the sing, you can say, hey, I think your son had a severe head injury and this and that, blah, blah. I'm looking at you and like say, hey, if it don't make sense and don't have any logic behind it, then I'm questioning you. You know, that's why I question the cops, because I would question certain things quick. One of the things I had a problem with the mediums and psychos, each and last one of them that comes say they know what happened to Daniel or they know where he's at, but none of them point at the same place. And so when I hear that, I'm like, you know, if everybody was saying the same as that thing, then I'd probably be like, oh my God, you know, all these people saying the same as that deal from different walks of life, and they say they're psychics and mediums. Now I can tell you a story, and I know it's going off the cuff. But I'll tell you guys a story, and this is the honest truth. I'm out there in the desert with the razors. I had to make sure I had those razors for the volunteers to get around that terrain. This young lady, she was riding in the vehicle, said she's not necessarily called. She said she's kind of like a psychic or medium, whatever. She used to always find these remains. I can't say that. She could just say, hey, Miss Ross, stop them. She could jump out and let it go. It's like, I call her the bone sniffer, so because she actually go find these things, right? And then we did have some people call themselves psychics and mediums that came out from California, came out to searches. You guys probably heard about the last human remains. We found out they're very fresh. It really put some fear in me, more so than the other ones, because the other ones looked more dry and things like that. But this one's very fresh. Bones still pink. It's really scary. And I really was in that ravine, scrubbing that ground, trying to get every piece of this person remains, because if it's Daniel, I want to make sure I get every bit of them. I hate to say that to you guys. That's what was going on at the time. But before I got there to that point, I just found some human remains near the well site with Daniel was last seen with some other volunteers. My investigator at the time was going to check on these psychics and mediums that came from California, because they wanted to be away from the rest of the volunteers. Say, hey, they just want the specific place they came from California that they needed to search. And lo and behold, them guys, when they went to South to go check on them guys, even though these second meeting was down in the ravine, kind of a little farther down, but they said in this area they knew somebody was there, and they said they said it was Daniel at first, and then I wouldn't ignore that kind of stuff. But they said it was Daniel, but it was out there in that ravine, and lo and behold, my investigators going to go search for them, going down that ravine to go look for them. They tell them check on them, and that's when he found that those were remains. And they called me out there. Like I said, I saw those what they found. Looking around myself, scrubbing, and found another bone out there as well that goes with that those remains, the hip bones that was there. My investigator found the vertebrae and all that stuff. But it was in that area right there where those people said that something was going to be there. So it's kind of strange to say that, but so I can't say I'm saying that just say I believe in that, but it's kind of ironic there that they was actually there in that spot. So what people have, I don't know. I say that to say that what people have abilities and things, I will not downplay anybody's abilities. I'm just a person, don't subscribe to that. I was taught to stay away, and I feel more comfortable doing that, staying away from that kind of stuff. All right. I would like the person give me something specific and say the reasons why you think I should go search a spot. For instance, give me some tangible evidence that would suggest that, and then I would go do that. So that's how I look at it. All right. And let me see. Here we go. Here, thank you. Also, Dog Defender, I really appreciate it again. That's really appreciated. I really appreciate that. It's been 14 months. I see other messes up there at the top. I really appreciate your super chat, and I really appreciate you supporting this YouTube channel. You've been here a lot, and you make sure you're there all the time. I know you hear some of the same things on there, but like I told you guys, this is for Daniel. It's for his story. You're gonna hear some things over and over again, but it's for people who have never been on the channel, who need to help me, who want to help me, have a need or want to help me spread Daniel's story out there, and they need to hear and they want to answer some of these questions I can answer, and the ones I can't, they hear also to hear his story. So I have to tell it and get Daniel's story out. So I really appreciate you hanging in there, and like I said, believing in what I'm doing and supporting. God bless you for that. Also, thank you, Pamela, for your question. Has there been anyone to use a metal detector in the area of the crash and on the hill where their clothing were found looking for buttons, jewelry that could have fell off Daniel or persons that could have been involved in Daniel's missing? No, I was really trying to get a lot of equipment when I was out there and pushing for that. But no, as far as I know, no, I haven't had anybody. They suggested that, and I wanted those things like metal detectors and things like that. But no, never had that. I haven't seen anybody bring any. We use things like e-tools. When I was using some of my military tools to dig the dirt up and stuff, we see mounds and certain little things. We were able to pull two cell phones from the areas where Daniel went missing, or where the vehicle was found, I would say. And so I think we did it the hard way, looking on the ground real hard. The volunteers, man, I mean, really was out there working very hard and scrubbing that ground, man. I mean, just walking, scrubbing that ground and finding things. I mean, we have some people, like I told you, I call her Eagle Eye. So, she's find these bones and things. We found a lot of animal bones out there, a lot of them, but we did find human remains as well. Of course, we're gonna find a lot of animal bones. It's a desert. Animals eat animals, so they be out there as well. All right, and I think I'm seeing less questions here. Dog Defender, you have one here. Ms. Robinson, I'm not upset. I just want to get information to you. No stress. And I will be looking for that. You made it a priority, and I'm going to make it a priority as well. I'll get to those messages you left. You say you left some text messages. I'll look for those. Ms. Virgo, thanks so much again. Do you know the date and time on the picture that the cattle rancher took of this Jeep to actually see if pictures was taken that day, like in the details section of the phone after the picture taken? You're right. I have never did that. I just took his word for it. I have never looked at timestamps. That's a good idea. That's easy to do, and I really appreciate that for you putting that up there. That suggestion. Every little thing like that, like I said, like Shiro Nation did when she asked a question about that guy, called himself a federal law enforcement officer, did help towards me getting. Like I said, I'm not the professional I'm just a guy that's learning. I use a lot of common sense. I use, you can't be, you got to make, I'm biased because it's my son. At the same time, you got to be open-minded, so I'm able to do that as well. And I really thank you so much for that, because that definitely helps out. So thank you, Ms. Virgo. And I can get that information to see if it really do match, like you said. All right. Any updates on the phone or computer forensic? I can tell you that they are being taken care of right now, and so thank God for that. But I still have to get forensic work done on this vehicle and clothing and the red transfer paint and stuff like that. So you guys, so yes, I just put that out. But yes, there's no updates yet, and there will be when that time comes. I will be able to really provide that. So. Thanks so much for that question. Dog Defender, thank you again. Mr. Robinson, Jay has brought up a point. Jay Chuck Vlogs, supposedly he was really wanting to could come help. I'm hoping Jay will explain. He said, Jay, I'm not sure, I'm missing something. Jay, I'm not sure, I'm missing something. I'm sure I'm missing something in the chats, but thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Really appreciate that. Thanks so much, Dog Defender. And I'm sure I get the information. You guys can tell me who Jay is. I really appreciate that. You say Jay Chuck Vlogs. I don't know who that is, but but thanks so much. And you guys ran out of questions here. I see there's no more down here. But I want to thank you guys so much. I want to do something real quick here if I can. I said I was going to I'm over the 2-hour mark, but I will be coming back again to do the go through the phone the police report on my next Q&A. I thought I could get it today, this evening, but I want to go through it and I'll tell you guys the discrepancies I have. And what I really want to do, I want to take the newest before they took it off the line, the newest police report and compare those two. So I'll be going once I get past the Day of Remembrance event. I'll try to go back and try to put those two together and show y'all some things where they change these paragraphs and change this and change that. And it all, in my opinion, how they keep it along this narrative and then to give them an appearance that they did so much. So try to work those things out to, so it's called CYA, how we see in the military, you know what that really means, and covering themselves. That type deal. But I'll show you those things, how things kind of change and mold its way, especially as I was talking on this Q&A, for instance, mold its way into their report. All right. So you guys have a good evening. I really thank you for, yes, thank you so much for, I'll try to see something. I think I saw something about Jay, but I'm just make sure before I cut off here, see something I missed. But thank you so much, you guys. Somebody's YouTube channel. I see somebody say to JLS or IS, J Chuck, a YouTube channel. But anyway, thank you guys. I really appreciate it. And I really appreciate you guys coming out to this Q&A. And again, supporting, please hit that like, share, and subscribe button if you guys can before you jump off here. I just want you guys to remember also this weekend, please come out to a Day of Remembrance event. I'm going to put this video on about Day of Remembrance before I get out of here. I want you guys to watch this video. I really appreciate you coming out. God bless you.